Welcome to the Winning Platform Owner Podcast, the podcast that is dedicated to enabling ServiceNow platform owners with valuable knowledge, tools, and strategies. This is episode 1, and we're going to be talking about 3 areas of focus for successfully managing the ServiceNow platform. We'll finish off with a big mistake that I made as a ServiceNow platform owner that you should avoid at all costs. So let's go. Well, welcome to the show, everyone. My name is Ben Pierce, and since this is our first episode, I thought I'd take a few minutes to give a quick intro of myself and then intro the podcast. What are we all about? What are we trying to do here? So, quick minute about me. I've got about 25 plus years in IT. Over half of that time spent on the ServiceNow platform, So, started out as a process user in the configuration management space, and over the years eventually made my way to the platform owner role, which I really enjoyed. It's a super challenging role, but really enjoyed it. Very rewarding. Over the course of the years, I've had the privilege of meeting and working with a lot of talented people in the ServiceNow ecosystem who helped me grow, who helped me improve, and in fact, it's one of the things I like most about the ServiceNow space and the ServiceNow community is you don't have to look very far before you run into somebody who's willing to basically give of themselves, give of their time, give of their expertise to help you solve a problem or get over a hurdle or understand something about the platform. And I love that about the community. I love being part of that community and helping others. And so that's really in part the inspiration behind this podcast, trying to do the same thing for others that people have done for me, specifically for my fellow ServiceNow platform owners, because like I said, it's a challenging job. There's a lot to think about. And look, we can use all the help we could get, right? So that's kind of why we're doing it. If you're not a ServiceNow platform owner, obviously you're welcome here. We're glad you're here. But the content of this podcast is really around and geared for platform owners, what they care about, and really making them successful. So if you are a ServiceNow platform owner, then you're in the right place. So that's the introduction of myself and the podcast, and over time, I do hope that this is very valuable for not just platform owners, but predominantly platform owners on the ServiceNow platform. All right, so when I was thinking about what content we should have on episode 1 here, I kind of went back to my early days on the platform, kind of some of the struggles that I had trying to figure out how to be a good platform owner. And so the 3 things that I want to talk to you about today and discuss are things that I wish I would have known sooner. They're not a big secret. It's not rocket science. In fact, ServiceNow has a lot of content on these different areas. I just never put them together as being important to do together. But I'm telling you, at least in my experience, when you do these 3 things and they're working well on the ServiceNow platform, for the ServiceNow platform, you start to achieve success on the platform. Your organization starts to get more and more value out of the platform. And in doing all of this, you become a more successful platform owner. So what are these 3 things? I'm going to cover them kind of in order, not necessarily order of importance, but probably just order in the way that I think about them in my brain. And like I said, there's a ton of content on ServiceNow's site, in their customer success center, on their YouTube channel around these different topics. So you'll want to, if something strikes a chord, jot it down so you have some key terms to go look on the ServiceNow content, and you can find all kinds of great stuff on this, or you can reach out to me and I can help direct you to it as well. So what are the three things? So the first thing is, if you focus on the governance for the platform, you're going to become more successful. You're going to be able to deliver more value. Second one is if you focus on intake and delivery processes. And then the third one is if you focus on your team and team structure. So those are the three things. I'm going to talk a little bit about each one just to kind of give you a little bit more depth into that. But if you left the podcast right now, that's valuable information. Focus on governance, focus on intake and delivery, focus on your team and the scalable structure. But let's drill into these three things. So first of all, governance. And again, this is not order of importance in the order I cover these. It's more like the order that I think about them in. So don't take anything in order of importance. Just they're really, all three of them are equally important. So first of all, governance. Why is governance important? Well, it accomplishes, good governance is going to accomplish three things for you. It's going to help you with your strategic alignment. It's going to help you with your technical health, just your platform health. And it's going to help you make sure that you're doing the right things at the right time, delivering the right value at the right time. And I should stop right here and say, governance, some people think governance and they think heavy, bureaucratic. This is how we stop things from happening. That is not the governance that I'm talking about. I'm talking about very lean set of processes, just enough to do and accomplish these three things that I mentioned. So strategic alignment, that's important because if you're not producing value on the platform, delivering that value, and it is aligned strategically, then you're not delivering value. So you have to stay in alignment with your organizational priorities. What are the strategies that the organization is trying to execute on? If you're not in alignment with that, with the value that you're delivering on the platform, you're not delivering value. So that's why that's important. The platform health is important because you want to keep your technical debt as low as possible. And you want that platform to be very healthy because that means it's very agile and nimble. And you can turn on a dime. And if the business decides that, hey, today we have to pivot, and now this other thing is of utmost importance to us, and we have to figure out how to solve another set of problems. Great case in point, the COVID year. Everybody had to pivot. And I'll tell you that those who were very nimble on the ServiceNow platform were able to help their organizations a whole lot with not just stuff that they created and value they created on the platform, but things that ServiceNow provided that you really just had to implement. But you needed a good, healthy platform to do that on top of. And so having a healthy platform, keeping that technical governance tight is very important. And then finally, doing the right things at the right time. Look, if you're providing value or you're providing things that the business requests, but it's not at the right time in terms of their priorities, then you're also stumbling. And so governance kind of helps you keep a management on the whole thing. It keeps you aligned strategically, keeps the platform healthy, keeps you doing the right things at the right time. So that's number one, governance. You focus on that, you're going to be more successful on the platform. Second thing is your intake and delivery processes. So this has two parts to it. First is the demand management, which really has a little bit of overlap on that third governance point of doing the right things at the right time, because your demand management processes are what going to intake all of that demand for new features, for enhancements. It's all got to come in and be managed effectively in order for you to take action upon it. And so that means it's got to be in one spot. That means it's got to be evaluated from a strategic alignment perspective and prioritized and sized correctly and all these things. And so if you don't have demand processes in place, and if you're not being disciplined about it, then you're going to start to run into issues. You're going to have backlog items all over the place in an inbox, on sticky notes with team members. It's just going to get messy really fast. So you have to have your demand management under control. And then you have to have the other side of that coin, which is all of the delivery and agile processes. And this is something that's, probably everybody knows about agile processes and what good agile processes look like. But what I really want to kind of emphasize to you is you have to have discipline in these, right? You have to have discipline in how you deliver, in what your cadences are, what your sprint ceremonies are, all of those good things that good, disciplined, agile processes bring. You need that on the ServiceNow platform. It's an absolute must, in my opinion. So demand management, how does it all come in? Agile processes, how do we deliver value out to production? So that's intake and delivery. So that was number 2. So the first one was governance. The second one was intake and delivery. The third thing that you really have to focus on is your team and the scalable structure that you have for that team. So what do I mean by that? So first of all, the team. It's very important, and I see it happen a lot, where this organization is implementing ServiceNow, and for whatever reason, they forget to implement a good ServiceNow team along with it. And all of a sudden the platform owner and maybe the one platform administrator, or maybe a couple of developers who came off another application and now they're tasked with administering and developing on ServiceNow, they very quickly get underwater. And it's really because nobody took the time to understand, okay, what are the roles that we need today, right now? What are the skills that we need? And do an inventory of that, and then look at those team members and say, okay, we're going to help you get the skills that you need in order to be successful today, right? And so that's the first piece of it, but that's not the only piece. So you have to understand what you need today. You have to skill up your team, but then you also have to kind of raise your gaze and look out on the horizon and go, okay, now what are we going to need in the future? And that's where you really have to put some time in as a platform owner to understand what's the recommended structure that ServiceNow provides. They provide guidance on this. And so you need to kind of review that and understand what's that recommended team structure, what's that scalable model. And then you have to, once you have that understanding, then you look out and you go, okay, what are the different capabilities that we are planning to implement on the platform? That comes from your strategic roadmap. If you don't have one, you need to get one of those. Maybe we'll talk about that on another episode. But you look at what you're going to do 6 months from now. What are we going to do a year from now? And it helps you, along with your understanding of what your scalable structure should be, it helps you understand, okay, here are the roles that we're going to need. And also, here's the skills that we're going to need for our existing staff. They need to grow. But then also, if we need to add roles and skill them up, we know where we need to do that, right? So team is such an important piece. If you think about it, you can do the first two and be doing really good. And if you leave the third one off, that team and team structure, you can't deliver anything. So you have all the governance that keeps you in alignment and keeps the platform healthy, and you're doing the right things at the right time, and you have good intake and demand management and agile processes to deliver. But if nobody's delivering, then that's an issue. So you got to think about team and your team structure, and that's number 3. So the 3 things that, in my experience, have really made a difference on the ServiceNow platform in terms of how it was working for my organization was focusing on governance, focusing on intake and delivery, and then focusing on my team and its ability to be properly structured and then ability to scale. There you go. That's the three things. So I promised that I would talk about a mistake that I made as a platform owner, and probably I could spend a lot of time talking about mistakes I made, but I think probably the biggest mistake that I made early on, and frankly, even later, I still kind of stumble into it from time to time, is simply trying to please everyone. Because if you think about it, you have, your leadership that has certain expectations. You have your customers or stakeholders, the people who are putting in demands for new features or enhancements. You have them, right? And then you also have your team and different opinions that they have and priorities that they have. And so you combine all of this together and you have a recipe for disaster if you're trying to please everyone. It takes too much time. You end up making somebody mad anyway. So, and it basically hampers you from moving out, from clearly making decisions and just getting after it and delivering value. So big mistake. Don't try and please everybody. Even in these three areas, you got to set up governance. You got to set up intake and delivery processes. You got to set up good team and scalable team structure. These things have to be there. So it's going to make somebody mad the way you do it. That's okay. Don't try and please everybody. Just do it to the best of your ability with the information that you have at your disposal, and don't be afraid to make the decision in one of these different areas in order to move your organization forward on the platform. All right, that's the content I have for you this time. Please be sure to subscribe to this podcast so you never miss an episode. And please share it with other people. Share it with fellow platform owners, friends that are on the ServiceNow platform. I appreciate that. It helps the podcast. And let me know if there are things that you would like me to cover that would be valuable to you. I will do my darndest to get those onto the agenda and get those covered on the podcast. And you know what's more important than being a winning platform owner? It's being a great person. So be humble, be kind, make the world a little better for someone else today. And thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.